Welcome.
To the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 61 of The Joy of Coding. Oh boy, I probably should have double checked. I'm pretty sure this is episode 61. Yes, it is. It's episode 61. Welcome to episode 61 of The Joy of Coding. My name's Mike Conley. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been, I think, 2 whole weeks where there have been no episodes. I'm back. Hi. I hope things have been well for you. If you've been watching this show and you've been wondering what's going on, I was on a little trip. I'm back now. If you're new, hi. You didn't miss much. I was just away. And we're going to be doing some Firefox live hacking today. So let's get going. Here's my screen. Typically, all these episodes tend to.
That's right.
Whoops. Typically, all these episodes tend to start more or less the same way. I'm a little unprepared today. I just sort of threw my sort of live hacking setup together. I had a couple of meetings. Like the first day after coming back from a vacation, everything's kind of crazy. So I'm just kind of throwing things together. And so if I pump up the agenda here, you'll notice that there's not a whole lot in it. So hang on, let me do my usual preamble for the new folk. Hi, if you're new to the Joy of Coding and you're not sure what we're looking at, this is the agenda. And I know that there's not really supposed to be a plan, and there isn't. There's no script. I'm not scripting what I'm doing or anything. But I do kind of have a plan, or I normally have kind of a plan on what I want to do while I'm live streaming. Today I don't have such a plan really. I haven't written it down anyways. Normally I'd write it down in here, but I didn't. So I'm gonna have to make it up on the fly. I also didn't supply a link for the people who are watching this live stream. I didn't supply a link to the public agenda here. If you're watching the recording of this video, then hopefully I've remembered to copy the link and put it in the video description and all that. But for the people who are watching the live stream, I'm now putting the link to the agenda in the live hacking IRC channel, and if you need it again, do let me know. Come into the live hacking IRC channel and let me know, and I'll paste it again, and we'll move forward. So, what are we doing today? Great question. What are we doing today? What did I want to do? Okay, I had some ideas. The first thing I wanted to do was to investigate a thing that I was need infoed on this morning by Gijs, a colleague of mine named Gijs, who found this very weird bug where I'll show it to you. Hang on, let me show you the bug. How best to show you the bug? Here, I'll do it this way. I'm gonna open a new. Let me pump up the font again. Firefox Nightly. Firefox. I'm gonna open up a new copy of Nightly. Whoopsie daisy. It's not a directory. That's why. Firefox. Okay, and I'm gonna create a new profile. I'm gonna delete this old one. Create a new profile. I'm gonna call it Test Thingy. And what I'm going to do is, when this new profile opens, I got these two tabs. I'm going to pin this one. I'm going to pin this one. Then I'm going to close the window. And so this is OSX specific. I'm going to close the window. But the program's still running. That's usually how OSX works. You can keep the program running even if the window's closed. But I'm going to reopen the program, Firefox by clicking on the icon in the taskbar in my dock here, and look what happened. The window is tiny, teeny tiny, and that's the bug that was reported by Simona, who's on our QA team, and she found a regression range that puts the blame squarely on me, and the regression appears to be these commits in here that I landed, and I'm not sure which one caused this bug, but I wanted to find out. Just so, I don't know if I need to fix this. I don't know if this is a very important bug that I want to pour a lot of time into, but because it's my fault, I want to do my due diligence and figure out what's happening. So at the very least, we can understand what's going on and if there's any other problems. So I was in the middle of a a bisection. So I've bisected. I think if you don't know what bisection means, I took this range of commits where at the very first one things are working, the very last one things are busted, and then I'm splitting them in half, trying to find the exact commit that introduced the problem. So you split them in half and you split them in half until finally you come down to the one commit that introduced the bug. And so I think the last thing I did was a build. So now let's see if I can reproduce the bug. So every time I do this, I have to create a new profile, which is kind of an annoying thing. And it also makes me think that this is really corner casey and not something our users will often run into. But again, this is just my due diligence. Want to make sure that pin this tab, and then we close the window, and then we open it again. And yeah, busted. Okay, so I'm going to say HG bisect bad. So 2 more tests remaining. On Mercurial. All right, then we're going to build. This is going to take a couple of seconds. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that to build, let me sort of flesh out these notes. I can close that now. And close that one. Let's flesh out these notes. So, gonna put this in here with a link to the bug. Oh, I don't have any notes for this yet, so I can't link to any. Seems like I caused this. Sad face. I actually had a proper regression range. Where was it? You know what? I think my console swallowed it up. Too old, too old. So, I had it like down to these, but at least it was. I know it's one of these 2 bugs because I've got 1209689 in here. It's either that one or what was the other one? 1220929. Either my patch is from either cause this. Okay, that's one thing we can do today. The other thing we can do, oh, and is our build done? Our build is done. So we can do the next step of the bisection. So let's do that. It is a pain whenever the bug has multiple steps to reproduce. Okay, so that one, everything works okay. So that's a good one. HG bisect dash good. 4 change sets remaining. Okay. Do another build. And then the other thing I wanted to work on today is that old chestnut. We've been working on this bug for a while now, which is to make the initial browser remote sooner for new Windows. That's a performance bug I've been working on for a long time. If you've been watching the past couple episodes, it's all been focused on these new Windows and making that initial browser remote. I got some review feedback, and I want to address that review feedback. I got review feedback on the most important patches, and so it's very important for me to address that, answer any questions that may have come up. The other patches that are still waiting on review from Ason are test patches. I might try and cajole him into reviewing those today, but if he's busy, I might have to redirect them. But I do want to look at the review feedback from Smaug and Felipe today. So for this bug. Hup, 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 hup. Hey, okay. So that's the other thing we're going to do today. And that, I think, will take us to the end of our episode. Okay, so let's check it out. delete the old one, create a new one. Pin the tab, open a new tab, pin another tab, close the window, open the window, still working. Okay. HG, bisect, this one is good. Down to one test, 2 change sets. We'll see which one it is in a moment. So while we're waiting for that to build, we can start by looking at some of the feedback that that Felipe gave us on this first patch. There's one issue they brought up, but he did R+ it. That's why it says green. Let me pump up my font again. That's why it says green. He R+'d it. So let's take a look at what he said. What he said was, why did this need to be moved here? So I moved a chunk of code, and he says, as far as I know, there's nothing related to the browser element here. I'm worried some code, potentially C, might want to use browser DOM window earlier. If this really needs to be here, what about having a stub NS browser access that just prints an error message if used, which can be replaced by this one? Okay, I know what he's talking about, and I think, let me just double check. Yeah, he's talking about this chunk of code here because he thinks that this will run after onload runs, but that's not true. Onload runs after this runs. So this is actually occurring earlier than it used to, because this used to run, this code that he's referring to used to run in here. So I'm going to reply to him and see if we can straighten this out. I'm worried might want to use NS browser. So I'm going to respond. That's actually what I'm trying to correct for here. The NS frame loader remoteness flipping stuff expects there to be a browser DOM window defined when creating the remote browser. I needed to move the definition of browser DOM window earlier to before the flip might occur for the initial browser. Note that DOM content loaded fires before the load event handler and not after. Double check. DOM content loaded. Fire when the initial HTML is going to put without waiting for all that very different event load. Use select a fully loaded page. DOM content loaded versus load. DOM content loaded event is fired in the document. Okay. Page document is ready. jQuery takes save areas for you. Code. Include inside will only run once the page document is ready for the JavaScript execute code inside. Window load will run once the entire page images are iframes, not just the DOM is ready. Okay. This really needed to be here. What about having a stub as browser access prints an error if used? It can be replaced by this one. Does that address your concern? And publish my reply. What is my, I have a review on this? Oh, discard this review. I don't have a review on this. Okay, so we'll see what Felipe thinks about that. Meanwhile, our build over here is done. Let's go back to this. I'm going to delete this profile. Boom, boom, boom. Test user. Okay, new tab. Pin it. Open tab. Pin it. Close the window. Open the window. Works. hg bisect dash dash good. So apparently this is the regressing change set. That is apparently the one. Tabs that haven't yet been restored should not crash. So let us make sure. What was that? HG update. So we'll change to that change set. We're just going to make doubly sure. And it's all like front-endy changes. So I'm just going to mock build faster it, which is much faster. And then I'm going to do the experiment again. And this should be broken. And then I'll do it one just before. I'm just being super, super cautious here. I don't want to get burned wasting time. Yes, broken. And now we'll go one previous. No, not next. Why did I go next? Ishi prev. Now I have to do it again. Ishi prev. Ishi prev. Ow, I don't know if you heard that. That was my tooth. Also, I have a new sound effect. I should have used it once we found out which was the regress and change set. We found it. That's my new sound effect. I'm very, very proud of it. Very happy with it. I love these.
What happened?
These are great, but this one for celebration can't go wrong. Okay, so now if I do mock build faster, then we should not see the bug. And then we have confirmed the problem, and then we can like do a deeper dive and figure out what's going wrong. So open the window. Yeah, works just fine. Okay. So that's the first thing. Is we're gonna first bad revision. I should probably take notes. Okay. Just creating a new note here. And I'm giving it a tag of regression, sad face. I caused this. Boo, sad face. And then I'm going to copy the public link and I'm going to put it in the agenda for you people. You fine folks. Notes. Okay. Okay. So what in this might have caused this problem? Let's take a look at the patch. 243353, that was the start of it. And we've got the range here, 243353. This is the one. So what this patch does is it adds some stuff to on-browser crashed, which should not ever execute when the browser is just starting up. There's this change, and this change. I wonder if it's here, this thing. We could try this, or we could try this. Let's start with the force not remote part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch now to the patch that causes the problem. Then I'm going to start removing bits of it or disabling bits of it. I've also got a ton of tabs open. I know that infuriates some of you, so I'm going to close some of these. Close. Don't save my stuff. Haven't needed it for a while, so close my doors. Alright. Much clean, much clean. And I have, yeah, I've got the right one checked out. I'm going to undo this bit, the add tab about blank business. And then I'm going to get rid of this force not remote thing. And then we're going to build that and see if we can reproduce the bug. Pin the tab. Pin the tab. Okay. Close the window. Open the window. All right. Okay. And if I, so that made the problem go away. If I put it back, delete the profile. Busted. All right. So it's this force not remote thing is triggering it, or as part of it anyways. And force not remote. Why would that? Why would that change things? Force not remote. So here we are inside add tab, and if force not remote, remote, create. Where's that value even used? The remote. Oh, here we create the browser. Create a remote or non-remote browser. Remote. So in this case, we're forcing it to be not remote. So we don't set. Why would that make a difference? So our initial browsers are not remote. Why would that make a difference? Alright, well, first thing we can do is write in the bug. I've bisected this down to a single change set. It looks like it has something to do with how it looks like it's related to how we force the tabs that session restore creates to be non-remote to begin with. Non-remote, but then we do a remoteness flip because they're app tabs and they load immediately. Oh. Is that it? If they're pinned, let's push. wonder if it's this. Like, force non-remote equals not win data dot tabs t dot pinned force non-remote. Test user. I don't have a good explanation for what might cause this or why this might fix it, what I'm about to do. But let's see. Yeah, it fixes it. So when we okay, well, I have a fix. I don't fully understand the problem, which isn't great. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to revert. I'm going to check out tip of central. I'm going to build. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. Try my solution on top of it. And if needs be, start a discussion on like why this might fix it, what are the risks. Because it's always good to understand your solution before you apply it. Who knows what kind of side effects it has. But okay, there we go. We can open the door. It is boiling in here.
You are?
Alright. So, let me just write down what we found. It looks like the forcing of the initial of the tab to be restored to be non-remote is at fault here and seems to be related to is at fault here. Oh. It's possible that a remoteness flip is occurring for the pinned tabs, which load their content right away at a super inconvenient time, which prevents the window from sizing correctly. Hard to say. An easy solution, which seems to fix the issue, is to not force those tabs to be restored if the tabs to be non-remote if the tab is going to be pinned, since it should load its content right away. I might just end up putting that in the bug. It's possible the rows which load their content right away is super inconvenient how transfer sounds correcting. Hard to say. Solutions. If people really want me to dig into the why of this, but I've got a patch coming up which seems to fix the issue. Just on my build to finish to tip of central to be sure. I'm going to assign this to myself. Okay. Meanwhile, we can go back to this discussion. I'm actually going to ping Philippe, and see what he thinks of what I wrote in here. Unless he already responded, I should double check. No, he has not responded. Okay. So I've pinged him, and we'll see if he might be on his way back from lunch. So while we're waiting on that, we can look at some of Smaug's feedback. Smaug. I'm also just quickly checking my email. I check it on my phone because I don't have to show you my email. Because I definitely don't want to show you my email. That would not be very secure. But I'm just checking to make sure there aren't any emergency things that I'm supposed to be looking at right now. Long press. Twitter. Okay. Another thing that we can look at while we're, like, if we're going to two-prong this a bit, as I have another need info for some stuff that just saw some traffic, so we can look at that. But let us, that's a lot of activity. Let us look at some of the Smaug feedback on the patch I wrote. He says, I guess this will need a couple of iterations, largely because the old code is complicated. Well, good to hear that the old code's complicated, not the new code. So, what's this comment here on? I think the naming isn't quite right here. The name should somehow indicate what this method does, not only when it is supposed to be called. Oh, so he's talking about down here. Ooh, that is janky. Open window for tabless content. The name should somehow indicate what the method does, not only when it's supposed to be called. It is unclear from the names how they end up behaving differently. Open window for tab content, open window for tabless content. So I need better names. Okay, let me write that down. My big note here. For let me just copy these in here, and then we can think about things we can name them instead. These two open window for method implementations have plenty of common things. All the common bits should be separated helper methods, otherwise it's pretty much guaranteed that rarely used open window for tablets content will miss change that the other method gets. Okay, that's true. Odd indentation. A bit lost why we need this separate method. And this change could have been done in a separate patch to decrease size of this complicated patch. Okay, so he wants me to extract things to do. Find better names for open window for tabless content and open window for tab content. And separate out Win has option. What's up, Ricardo? You're the best. Separate out. Win has option. NSAC string stuff into its own patch. That I can do. Justify the new calculate flags for content method security. And then this is going to be the hard part. Extract out the common bits from open window for tabless content and open window for tab content into helper functions. Okay, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. And let's take a look at the other feedback from Smog here. How's our build doing? It's okay. I think this needs some clarifications, including what size shell 2 with limit actually does, even though it was added in another bug. Comments about the new coordinate space. Some better clarity on what is being sized. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do that later. Let's just do this part today. I think this is going to take most of our day. Or, not all of the day, jeez. But most of our time slot. My throat is getting sore. I'm not used to talking this much. Or, hopefully I'm not getting sick. Post-vacation sickness. Suspicious. Okay. Well, let's come up with a better name for these two things. Sorry, I'm bumping up the font for you. So, I don't know if any of these are still useful. Find better names for open window for tabless content and open window for tab content. These are called, okay, open window for tabless content is when a service worker running in the content process requests a new window, even though that service worker might not be related to a particular tab. For example, a service worker causes a notification to be opened, a native notification to be opened. When the user clicks on that native notification, we need to open a new window. The clicking on the notification causes the service worker to call window dot, what was it, open, what was it, service worker clients dot open window. Which IPCs its way to calling open window tabless content. So what's a better name for this method? The naming isn't quite right here. The name should somewhat indicate what the method does, not only when it's supposed to be called. So I'm clear from the names how they end up behaving differently. What it does, not when it should be called. That's a good point. Thinking. What's a better name for this method? Similarly, open window for tab content is when a remote tab IPC sends an IPC the parent to open a new window. So what's a better name for these methods? Meanwhile, our build is done. Hooray. So now what I can do is I can try force non-remote. Let force non-remote equal not when data dot tabs t dot pinned. If the tab is pinned, then we'll be loading it right away, and there's no need to cause a remoteness flip by loading it initially non-remote. Win data tabs, not pinned, force not remote. Alright, let's see if that fixes it. I'm sorry, I'm switching back to that thing that we'd been testing and bisecting. Just gonna see if it's fixed with this patch that we tested out before. Again, the reason for why it is fixed by this, if it is fixed by it, is not entirely clear to me, which is kind of frustrating. That's no good. Pin. That's not good. I'm saying it's not good because normally we would have the previous tabs opened, and that's what I think was helping to cause the problem. Let me go back and try this again. So I'm going to delete pin, open tab, pin, close, open, busted. Okay. Exit. Put the changes I made back. Force not remote. Because it's called force not remote, not force non-remote. Force not remote. I think that was the issue. Test user. Whoops, pin the tab. Pin the tab on the donkey. And then we close the window and we reopen the window. Hey, we got our tabs. Everything's hunky-dory. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run some tests. Just to make sure that everything's okay, and then if so, then we will push this up for review, and we'll start a discussion on whether or not we really need to dive into why this fixes it. Because what the change I make makes sense. I mean, there's no point in doing a remoteness flip for pinned tabs. They shouldn't have to do the remoteness flip. It is a waste of time. And while that's going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run and refill my water bottle for the sake of my throat, because my throat is bugging me. So BRB, I'm going to play you a little music, and I'll be right back. Ooh. Sorry that took so long. Sorry that took so long. That was a lot of dead air. I apologize. I had to run to a different fridge. Oh, excuse me. That's disgusting. I apologize. Very rude of me. Biggest excuse is possible. How are we doing on our tests? Still running. That's good. And just checking to make sure there's no emergencies. Nope, no emergencies. We're okay. We're okay. And I think the tests are almost done, which is good. And what'll be even better is then we can go back to thinking about, or I can maybe do this right now, is thinking about like, oh, did the crash report open? Did my actual browser crash? What's this for? What? Okay, well, we passed 1,167 tests. All right. Yeah, create a commit here. Bug. App tabs. Should not restore as non-remote. Get Mike DeBoer to check it out. App tabs load immediately, so there's no point in causing the remoteness flipping machinery to kick off by making the pinned tabs non-remote by default. Alright, and we'll take a look. I'm going to get rid of that E10S thing. That's not useful. And I'm going to say pinned tabs. And push to review. to review. Yes, it did. See the link. All right. Yes, I'm gonna abuse that air horn sound for the rest of this series. I can't help it. It's just too much fun. I hope it's not too shocking. Force non-remote. User context ID. Okay. At least this appears to fix the issue. Again, I'm not 100% certain why this causes the problem to present, but this patch at the very least fixes a real performance problem where we are kicking off the remoteness flipping machinery needlessly for pinned tabs. My sorta hand wavy hypothesis for why making those pinned tabs non-remote by default causes this bug is that when the window opens and the tabs start loading, we do a remoteness flip at the time when the window attempts to do an intrinsic size, and I guess somehow the removal and re-addition of the browsers for the flip somehow causes that size calculation to not work. Again, pretty hand wavy, but I'm not sure it's worth a full scale investigation, to be honest, unless somebody wants to push back. Alright, there's that. Then there's this thing. Before we get back into Smaug's feedback on that other patch, I wanted to quickly look at this that I was needed info on. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I need, like, why I'm needed info on it. Session restore by session restore a month ago. I found that it doesn't have to do with session store, and this point doesn't have anything to do with session store, and this point would be my most likely candidate as being the culprit. That makes quite sad because if it were a session store problem, I could have fixed it more easily. After I set the network cookie max per host pref to 10, and navigate around Twitter for a while after having logged in, I'd be logged out again after a while. I did not have any other window tabs open using FreshBake debug build. I've dabbled in cookie service code before. What is this bug anyways? Recently closed, reopen a tweet, and fade the tweet for closing reopened in order to reply. There are a couple of Twitters. I'm just trying to understand what this bug is. I see this much of the time on Windows, never see it on Linux. Yeah, among other things, I've lost Bugzilla sessions and remember this machine sessions for my bank. I don't know either of these has been tabs. Firefox window containing my Twitter tab. Reopen it with restore. Close Windows X logs me on Twitter. Every time I restart your browser, I'm going to attach some snippets of cookie log that might be interesting. This huge file. I'm trying to debug this. Clean info for Blair. I've already reported that this continues to be reproducible in recent nightlies. Is it relevant that Twitter creates a truckload of cookies? According to Cookie Manager, I have 146 cookies right now that are created by Twitter. Most of them are the suggest cookie. The default max number per domain is 150. Which does sound suspicious. When out network cookie max posted 300, restart my browser, logged me back in for the first time in weeks. Ah. Maybe a new profile. Look at the code. It looks like what's supposed to happen is that find still is supposed to evict either sometime broken. So let's fix the problem for me. I don't think find regression is the most efficient first step here, so I'm going to find a solid way to reproduce fix the problem directly. Bumping is a temporary solution. I eventually hit 300 cookies too. I suspect it's probably easiest to reproduce by reducing the number of cookies per host. Does Twitter have similar problems for them? Actually, it would be dumping information about the last access time for all cookies on Twitter, who was actually having the expiration. Hey, I was need infoed, but but I don't think I have much to add. I have much to add to this discussion except good vibes. Nothing that's being described here sounds like something I would have worked with semi-recently. I would have. I'm too familiar with. I'm not gonna say it, too involved with. Clear that need info. Okay, and now that that's done, I can go back to my window patches. I'm gonna rebuild these. That should hopefully not take too long because of Ccache. And let's come up with some better names. Alright, well, what is the difference between what these two things do? These two patches. That is on indentation. Good call, Ollie. Smaug, I should say. What's the difference? Some of these, like, calculations. Like, I think open window for tab content is like a... It kind of does what open window for tabless content does, but more. Um, this is not in the tabless content stuff. Is there features? It never has to worry about features, I don't think. The features string? There's never a features string. It just creates a new window. From scratch. It knows to just create one without a and was it used for the parent Chrome? Was it used for the parent Chrome? Parent tree owner. Parent tree owner is who? It gets the most recent non-private browsing window. Okay. Just thinking here. It's what the question is, what should these be named? Open window for tabless content? One's like open window for tab parent. For one that doesn't belong to a tab, and then this one is like open window for things that for content that's like requesting open window. What's the difference between this one? Oh, open window for tabless content. This one opens a window that's okay. This one opens a window that's related to an opener. It has a tab opener. Because if it doesn't have an opening tab parent, it errors out. This one only returns a result. It doesn't have an opener. It will find the most recent non-private browsing window and use that as the parent. I think that's one of the main differences. So open window open window without opener. Open window that doesn't have an opener essentially. Open window without opener? Oh, that sounds so awkward. Open window No opener. Open window without opener. Open window without opener. Tab opener. Open window with tab opener. Open window without opener. So maybe I can start a dialogue with Smog here. I guess one fundamental difference is that open window for tabless content doesn't have an opener and a side tab parent to base the newly opened window off of. Instead, open window for tabless content, most recent non-private window as its parent. So maybe instead of opener, maybe it should be parent. Open window without parent. Open parentless window. Open open window without parent with tab parent. Open window without parent. Open window with tab parent. Clear. Yep. Good call. Extract out. Indentation here. My rationale for this is because there are a number of feature feature strings that should only ever be used from privileged script. Privileged callers, for example, dialogue, dialogue or modal. I figured while detangling the open window internal, I figured this a natural this seemed like reasonable to do when I was detangling open window internal. I was trying to detangle the service worker tab parent cases from open window internal. So calculate Chrome flags for content has a very strict set of feature strings that it pays attention to, and we don't have to, and callers have to worry about more privileged bits getting flipped. Calculate Chrome flags for parent is as secure as it always was, which I don't know. Let's take a look. Like, am I fixing a security bug here? I don't think so. Hmm. Oh, yeah, I remember. Flags used to have somewhat as code paths that should only ever flip bits if the caller wasn't privileged, and that was freaking me out, I guess. That's why I wanted to all of that stuff out into its own method and clean up, calculate Chrome flags. Only when the caller is privileged. So that it runs only when the caller is privileged. Right? Does that does that make sense? Or am I missing something? Alright, does that make sense? Good idea for this last one, which was to decrease the size of the complicated patch by extracting the string stuff. So, need more information from Smog and Felipe. Felipe for comment 112 and Smog for comment 113. I forgot how exhausting live streaming was. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. This has been it's not even been a full hour and a half, which is what I normally do, but I think I'm gonna call this episode. My stamina seems to be running out, and my throat is starting to really bother me. It's starting to get pretty sore. So I think I'm gonna call it here. Thank you so much for watching episode 61. Whoops. Thank you so much for watching episode 61 of The Joy of Coding. Hopefully by the time, if you're watching this recording, hopefully by that time there will be links for checking out the agenda and checking out all the stuff I did today and following along, but also for rating this episode so you can let me know what you liked and what you didn't like. Is the air horn just obnoxious? Let me know. Anything else I wanted to mention? I think that's it. I'll be back at full strength next Wednesday with episode 62. It's going to be a great episode. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. I hope you are too. Take care. Bye-bye.
The joy of coding.
See ya.